You're tuned into the first newscast devoted to the Highland Lakes area. Local team coverage on Tribune Headline News, bringing you the stories you care about now. Hi everyone, I'm Connie Swinney. You're watching Tribune Headline News on Northland Channel 15. Here's a look at the stories we've been working on. Word traveled fast that the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center is dead. We have reactions from local schools and emergency services.
Growth in the area would be great for us, but that's not what we're counting on to make the project successful.
It's full steam ahead for a hospital project in southern Burnett County. We have a timeline and what kind of health services will become available for local residents.
It won't be as cold, but it won't be too warm either. We'll have temps that are just right. Details later in weather.
Thanks, Jared. See you in a moment. We also have the latest in Marble Falls baseball and softball action. We'll be right back after the break.
As our school and city elections draw closer, it's important to know who's shaping the discussion for these critical issues in our area. The Picayune candidate forums can be found on thepicayunetv.com and also Northland Communications Channel 50.
Welcome back. We'll get to our local stories about bin Laden's death in a moment, but first, Scott and White officials unveil their latest plan to build a regional hospital at the intersection of Highways 281 and 71. Raymond Whelan has this story.
Officials with Temple-based Scott and White have unveiled a timeline for the proposed Lakes of the Hills Regional Medical Center. The first step involved bringing Herster Clinics, formerly affiliated with Llano Memorial Healthcare, into the Scott and White family.
Formally came on board January 1st, and employees are excited. I mean, they've had, some of them didn't even have email addresses just because we had a limited number of licenses, but in the Scott and White world, everybody has an email and they have access to this really great web page. It's in Temple, and the information is just a lot easier to get out to each and every individual, so I think that's been a real boon for us.
Scott and White first partnered with Llano Memorial in 2007. The proposed location is 11 acres on undeveloped land near the intersection of Highways 281 and 71. The medical campus will consist of a clinic for physicians, the first phase. An ambulatory service center follows. Depending on the response from healthcare professionals and clients, the next step involves a 60-bed, 175,000 square feet hospital facility. The groundbreaking for the clinic phase of the hospital is proposed for the first quarter of 2011. Officials hope the clinic can be ready for patients by 2013. Construction of facilities for so-called ambulatory services could start by 2016. Construction on the anticipated hospital bed tower, with the capacity for patient overnight stays, could begin as early as 2018. The proposed hospital could be built in 24 months after that, with a possible grand opening by the year 2020. Reporting for the Picayune TV, I'm Raymond Whelan.
In our next headline, word of the death of Osama bin Laden has launched celebrations all over the country. Here at home, those at the front lines of protecting the community from terrorism say they are glad to hear the news that the leader of the worldwide al-Qaeda terrorist movement is dead. However, they remain on guard when it comes to local security.
Well, I think the firefighters are glad that it's happened and it's over with. Again, they're not completely satisfied that it wouldn't occur again. So, that's why we have to keep up our vigilance.
Bin Laden's death at the hands of the U.S. military has strengthened the resolve of local emergency crews to be on alert for what might follow.
We train, do terrorism training. We also, have drills periodically to make sure that, we're acutely aware of what could happen in this particular area. We've got two infrastructures here, the dams that could be affected. So, yeah, we're constantly aware of it.
We also wanted to find out how local educators were handling the news of bin Laden's death in their classroom. That story later in the newscast. But first, after the break, your weather forecast.
Friday night was a great night to be on the diamond. If you're a Mustang fan, we're going to tell you all about that coming up in sports.
Because experience matters. For home, auto, business, health, and life, we are here for you. When Galloway experts make top providers compete for your business, you win. The Galloway Insurance Team since 1935. Earn it, Horseshoe Bay, and Marble Falls.
Vera's Strength and Fitness. Fitness programs that are fun and exciting with true performance and true results. Vera's Strength and Fitness, 708 Industrial Boulevard, Suite 101 in Marble Falls. We're back. Jared Fields has what's on tap for your work week weather.
Hello everyone. We don't have any rain in your forecast. I hope you enjoyed what we did have though. But as the clouds move on, we'll have sunny skies and great weather. Here's your forecast for Northland Cable 15 and the Picayune TV. Today as we warm up and those clouds move away, we'll inch up to a high near around 72 with northeast winds between 5 and 10 miles an hour. As we move into the night, we'll have mostly clear skies with a low dipping down to about 42. Wednesday, though, we'll have a sunny sky again with a high up around 81 degrees, winds between just 5 and 10 miles an hour. Wednesday night, that low will be about 53. Thursday, partly sunny, a high again near 81, southeast winds between 5 and 10 miles an hour. And right now, it looks like our weekend will have temps itching toward the 90s, but we'll have those details later in the week. That's your forecast for Northland Cable 15 and the Picayune TV. I'm Jared Fields. Back to you, Connie.
Jared, thanks. Now I'll pitch it to Jennifer Fierro for a look at sports.
The Marble Falls High School teams enjoyed their nights on the diamond on Friday. We're going to start with the Lady Mustangs, who pounded Austin Crockett 13-1 in the by-district round of the playoffs to begin the postseason. Marble Falls picked up 5 runs in the first inning, their most productive inning, and then, of course, they just steamrolled, adding 3 runs in the second, 3 runs in the third, 2 runs in the fourth, and then this game ended in the 5th inning. We did get a chance to talk to head coach Tino Salazar about his team's performance. Here's what he had to say.
We jumped out early. You know, Peyton leads off with the triple, and Centerfield kind of misplayed it, but you know, nonetheless, we lead off with a triple, and we scored 5 in the first, so it takes a lot of pressure off the pitchers, and I thought they did well.
The Marble Falls High School baseball team also had a good night, beating Leander Vandergrift 6-5. Remember, Leander just a few days ago was in the mix for a playoff spot. How did Marble Falls do it? Well, they handed the ball to senior pitcher Brian Hicks, who did not disappoint. He struck out 12 during the 7 innings he pitched. Afterwards, we did get a chance to talk to Brian about his outing. Here's what he had to say.
Get a win, finish the season on a good note. I mean, all of our seniors played well tonight. Dusty, Will, me, everybody hit the ball. Everybody played defense well. It was just a good way to end the season altogether.
Head coach David Norwood said his team finished the season on a positive note. He was proud of how well they played, and particularly how well the bats came alive with just about everybody contributing at the plate. Now, even though the Mustang baseball team season is over, the Lady Mustangs move on to the second round, where they will face Smithson Valley. Game 1 is Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Scarce Softball Field on the high school campus, and then the venue switches on Friday. Game 2 will be played at Smithson Valley at 6 o'clock, and if necessary, Game 3 will follow 30 minutes after the end of Game 2. That's it for sports. I'm Jennifer Fierro. Connie, back to you.
Thanks so much, Jennifer, for that report. The news of bin Laden's death has dominated the airwaves. Local educators have used the continual stream of coverage as a teaching tool in the classroom. Take a look.
For these Marble Falls High School youngsters, the memories of 9/11 are faint. Many of them were as young as kindergartners and some in elementary school.
I remember I was really young and all of our teachers thought it was such a big deal and they would show us clippets on the computers, and I remember getting home and my parents were sad and we were watching the news all night. And it was a big deal in our family.
The day after the news of the death of the figurehead and terrorist leader, educator Cindy Roberts used her debate class period to launch a discussion about what it means for the future.
We talk about timely topics, and I think good education, especially with this kind of class, to really demonstrate good education, quality education in the classroom. It's about dealing with rigor and relevance, and both these things were very, predominant elements of this activity. So we kind of put aside what we originally were going to do in lieu of the news, talked about the facts, And from there, we did some creative thinking and kind of sharing opinions, which were rooted in facts. And so it's kind of what we do, try to get kids to understand how to own an opinion and how to sway their reasoning and logic and be open to other people's logic and reasoning so they can have a good and healthy debate.
After listening to Obama's speech, I feel more confident in our country that even though the event happened about 2 decades ago, there's like still strong CIA network that's still working for us and trying to keep us safe. And I feel positive that whatever we face as a country, we could take it on.
It kind of brings to mind like what's going to happen in the future, because like this is such a huge change for our country with like Al-Qaeda's leader being killed, and this could possibly, you know, start a war or something, and it could be something that becomes really important as people my age, as we grow up, it could affect us.
The discussion became both a history lesson and a debate. Students quizzed their teacher and shared their own take on the events surrounding the military operation which unfolded Sunday night. Some expressed concern about the fallout from the U.S. actions, while others felt renewed confidence about the nation's fight against terrorism.
Honestly, I think there's probably going to be some counter effect from Al-Qaeda. They're probably going to make some kind of counterattack against us after we killed their leader. So it's probably more fear, care, something like that.
Well, I think that it helps America and that we have accomplished something and we can move on.
Reporting for the Picayune TV, I'm Daniel Clifton.
Those were your headlines. Thanks so much for watching. Now stay tuned. If you missed them last week, we have a re-airing of our Candidates Forum on Tribune Talk. For the Picayune TV, I'm Connie Swinney.
This is Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards, Special Candidates Edition. Today we take a look at the Marble Falls Independent School District Place 4 race. Join us as we put the questions to the candidates. Welcome back to Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards. Today, Special Candidates Edition. In this edition, we're covering the Marble Falls Independent School District Place 4 race. Two candidates, incumbent Tommy Chaney and candidate David Barr, could not be with us today. However, we're delighted to have candidate Jerry Watson. The format will be 3 questions to Mr. Watson, and he has a minute to answer, and then final question will be a wild card question. Mr. Watson, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Our first question, what are your plans to deal with the current and future budget struggles at the school district?
Well, I think currently I would continue the policies they have in place. It looks like they're on pace to get most of it straightened out. And then in the future, I think we've got to do what most companies do, and they forecast out, they look at next year's revenues, they spend within those revenues, and I think more importantly what we need to do is build up a reserve so that we're not in a situation if we get caught in a bad area, we don't have anything to draw back into.
Good, thank you for your response. Second question, with so much emphasis on testing, how does the board ensure that today's students get what they need for a changing and competitive world?
Well, I think the standardized testing is important. I think it lets us know where we are with other schools around the state, and of course it's state mandated, so we have to do that. But I believe in a round peg and a round hole. I think if someone shows that they want to go to college, we have a pathway to get them to college. But I have a niece who didn't want to go to college, and at her high school she was able to take courses her senior year so that the day she graduated she got a beautician license and a high school diploma, and 10 years later she owns her own business. So those are the type of things I'd like to see us also look at.
Well, thank you, Mr. Watson, for that response. Our third question, the Marble Falls Independent School District is looking for a permanent superintendent. If you're elected to the board, what will you look for when you hire that person?
Well, I think there's some have-tos. I mean, they have to know how to run a good budget. They have to know how to hire good personnel. But on the intangible part, I'd like to see a really energetic, motivational type person. I'd like for it to be after they speak to a group of teachers, those teachers are ready to go out there and go the extra mile. When they go and talk to business leaders in the community, those business leaders want to get involved in the school district. So those are some of the intangible things that I'd like to see when we do the interviewing and the selection process.
Well, good. Thank you very much for that response. Now, our fourth and final question, which we like to call the wild card question. And the wild card question is drawn from responses from readers, viewers, and our own staff. The candidate has not been given the question ahead of time, and we're looking for an extemporaneous and a sort of off-the-cuff response. So, Mr. Watson, the Marble Falls Independent School District is seeing a growing number of non-English speaking students. What can the school district do to help incorporate them into society?
Well, we've got ESL and we've got programs for that right now. I believe in immersion. I think that if we can get them into the English-speaking classes earlier and get them acclimated to the language, I think that they're going to have a lot more success. I think there's some studies out there that actually show that. But I would be open as a new school board member to look at all the different things that they could offer to show us what would be successful. But off the cuff, I'd say immersion.
Immersion. Good. Thank you very much for that response. This has been Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards, Special Candidates Edition. Today, we've been talking to Jerry Watson, candidate for Place 4 on the Marble Falls Independent School District. Two other candidates are running, incumbent Tommy Chaney and also Mr. David Barr. Unfortunately, they could not be with us today. Thank you for watching. Please remember to go vote May 14th and have a great day. This is Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards, Special Candidates Edition. Today, we take a good look at the candidates for Place 3 on the Marble Falls Independent School District. Join us as we ask them the hard questions. Welcome back to Tribune Talk with Thomas Edwards, Special Candidates Edition. Today's edition features the Place 3 candidates for the Marble Falls Independent School District Board of Trustees. I am pleased to welcome our guests today, including Scott Ross, Craig Cosgray, Bob McCall, and Craig Mabray. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our format is to give the candidates 3 questions at 1 minute apiece, and then after that to toss out what we like to call the wild card question. Gentlemen, here's our first question, and we're taking these questions, giving them to the candidates in the order the candidates appear on the ballot. So Mr. Ross will get the first question, and that question is, what are your plans to deal with the current and future budget struggles?
To work with the other board members to be able to rein in more of the expenditures we have here in the district because of the fact that by law, in a lot of instances, our hands are tied as for what we can and can't do as far as the money we have coming into the district. And then also work with the board members to try to get them to get the word out to the voting public to start to bring pressure on our elected officials to get them to stand up to the governor, lieutenant governor, and try to fix this problem where it starts.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Cosgray, same question to you, sir.
Well, quite obviously, we have a lot of debt at Marble Falls Independent School District. And beside the obvious, which is basically taking a look at the line items in the budget, I think we have to look at the overall picture, perhaps get some industry in here to help our tax base. I've got 2 friends of mine that are CEOs of companies, and one of them's actually thinking about going to South Carolina. I'm wearing him out to try and come here. Another gentleman runs the railroad division of Starbucks Company. He's coming in this weekend, and I'm going to see if we can possibly get some industry that he's working with into Marble Falls.
Well, thank you very much for your answer. Again, the same question, this time to Mr. McCall.
Well, first, I'm running for the board
to serve, have some expertise as a retired superintendent in school finance. Marble Falls is hurting, but under the current school finance rules, every school district is hurting. Doesn't look like the legislature is going to do much to help anybody, property wealthy or property poor, this time. But school districts aren't much different than running a family budget. You estimate how much you're going to have coming in, and you spend within those limits and hopefully save something. We have wonderful facilities here. We have great kids. We need to work as board members to figure out how to live within our means. And I'd like to be a part of helping us do that.
Thank you very much for your response. And Mr. Mabry, same question to you, sir.
All right, thank you. I think Mr. McCall's exactly right. We need to run it just like we do a household budget. And how you do that is you spend less than you make. You know, everyone obviously is aware of the current revenue issues that we have. But, you know, our district also has we have a $2.3 million deficit in our general budget that we have to make up. So we can't make budget. We have to actually have a surplus in order to fill that gap. So, you know, I think the board and the administration has done a good job with the attrition program, the incentive programs. And, you know, as a result of that, you can see we're not having to wholesale broadly lay people off like other districts in the area. So, you know, my plan would be, you know, continue the attrition program, continue some of the cost-cutting programs that we're doing, and some of them that are proposed, like the utility optimization program, and then maybe look at some out-of-the-box revenue enhancement ideas, like putting advertisements on school buses.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mabry, for your response. Now we're going to move on to question number 2. With so much emphasis on testing, how will the school board ensure students get the education they need for today's competitive and changing world? And again, first question goes to Mr. Ross.
This year, the schools are changing from the tax test to the new STAR test. I know that the current superintendent has changed policy to try to get teachers away from teaching to a test and actually teaching course curriculum, which will, in the long run, be a better action for the students to have a better foundation in their future. And I would try to work with the administration on the different campuses to ensure that teachers are teaching the curriculum and preparing our students for life, not just for taking a test.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Cosgray, same question to you, sir.
Well, I know that the new STAR program's coming down the road. It's a much better curriculum from what I understand. I kind of want to go back to the wisdom of the ages. I know that we're not doing the drill and kill, which is the memorization that we used to, let's say for the math tables. I'd like to get back to that. I think we need to get back to grammar, teaching the English structure of our sentences, etc. So I think those are the kind of things that we can do to help support the school teachers and improve the curriculum and the grades of our students.
Thank you very much for that response. Mr. McCall, same question to you, sir.
You know, we tend to want to bash public education. Most of us are products of public schools. Marble Falls graduates productive, brilliant students every year under the current system. The burden on teachers and public education is to educate all kids to a certain level. And that's extremely difficult to do regardless of curriculum. I think this is kind of the golden age of public education. Teachers are working hard, they're teaching more to a more wider variety of students than ever before. Certainly it can be improved. But the STAR test may be better, it may be a better approach. Tax test, I would have a hard time mastering all aspects of the tax test. So it's no pushover.
Well, thank you for that response. And Mr. Mabry, your response to that question, please.
Yeah, I do agree that the STAR testing is going to be better than tax testing, and you know, mandated testing as it is, you know, it does help the administration, you know, identify where we have some gaps in the educational process,
and come up with programs to fix those gaps. Certainly there are some gaps in math and sciences, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Now that being said, one of my concerns is, we have some really great curriculum pathways for the kids that are going to college. We have a medical pathway, we have an engineering pathway. Where I don't see we have good pathways are for some of the kids that either don't want to go to college, don't have the interest, or don't have the ability to go to college. And I think some of those kids are getting lost in the process. And so I'd like to see us have some more pathway curriculum for kids to get involved in VOTEC issues and things like that.
Well, thank you very much. Our third question to the candidates is simply this. The Marble Falls School District is looking for a permanent superintendent. Gentlemen, what will you look for in that person? Mr. Ross, again, the question goes to you first.
Somebody with good, strong leadership. Too many times in the past we've had superintendents and campus principals that were weak in establishing a set of rules that everybody was going to abide by, and then when somebody would come along and have a problem with it, things would get turned on their ear, everybody would have to change again, and I think we just need to have a good, strong leader in that position that can work with the board, but let everybody know that things are going to be tight, things are going to be tough, but this is the way it's going to be, and everybody's going to have to live within the rules that they establish.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ross. Mr. Cosgray, same question for you, sir.
Well, I also agree we need a strong leader, male or female. Basically, I'm looking for someone that thinks out of the box a little bit, and someone who can maybe earn their pay. I think we talked about in the last board meeting energy conservation. Dr. Bull came up with that idea. I like that idea, thinking out of the box to earn a little bit of extra money or save some extra money. I also want someone who wants to take a look at the curriculum in the schools right now. And I believe that we can improve the curriculum and the way our teachers teach. And that's the mission. Take care of these children. Let's get them out of here ahead of the game. I have it in my mind that this can be the best school district in Texas, and I intend to make it so.
Good. Well, thank you very much for that response. And Mr. McCall, same question to you, sir.
What was the question? The most important thing that any school board does is choose a superintendent. And the superintendent I'm looking for, a question that I will ask the candidate is, can you make Marble Falls ISD achieve at a high level and maybe be the best school district in the state without spending money, or more money than we have. I would also want that individual to understand that property wealthy school districts do not have any more access to revenue in the state than property poor school districts. And sometimes that's badly misunderstood by both the public, school boards, and superintendents.
And Mr. Mabry, if elected, what would you be looking for in a school superintendent?
First and foremost, leadership. Demonstrated, quantifiable leadership abilities. Certainly because of the financial issues that we have this year, and I don't think anyone's under the misconception that those issues are going to go away anytime soon. So, I would be looking for someone that is an experienced Chapter 41 superintendent in terms of knowing what it means to be a property-rich district. I would look for an individual that can work with the board to come up with a joint vision for the district to further define that, be able to communicate that to the administration, the staff, and the community, and then also be able to deliver on that, because the superintendent needs to be, in my mind, a results-driven, performance-driven individual.
Thank you very much for your response. And now we come to our fourth and final question, which we like to call the wild card. Our candidates have not been prepped for this question. We're looking for an off-the-cuff, extemporaneous response. The question has arisen from discussions with viewers, readers, and our own staff. And the question is, gentlemen, with so many concerns over the inadequacy of school finance, How do you think the state and local districts could better pay for public education? Mr. Ross, the question goes to you first, sir.
Good question. Because of my disdain for property tax, I would have to say that I would like to see that system scaled back as far as being the main source of income for schools, and either a statewide property tax put into place or statewide sales tax added to it, so that, since the state takes all of our money and then puts it into a convoluted formula and gives us back an amount based on our attendance versus the property value of our district. I think a fairer system would be having a state sales tax component in there somewhere.
Thank you very much for that response. Mr. Cosgrave, same question.
Well, obviously, it's a big problem. Our property taxes are very high. We need to figure out a way to fix that. One of the things that really irritates me about the way we currently finance is we pay our property taxes to Marble Falls School District, and we give it to the state, and then they give it back to us, but they've robbed us. And we have no taxation without representation is what it's basically called. I don't like Robin Hood one bit. No one I know has told me where the money's going, and I think we need to get on our state legislatures and find out what in the world is going on there and fix this system, because I believe it's broken.
Thank you very much. Mr. McCall, your response, sir.
Well, I certainly believe the system is broken. Texas has never, historically, never dealt with the issue of school finance except under threat of a court order or lawsuit. The statewide sales tax is the only thing probably that we could do constitutionally right now within the state that would generate the kind of revenue that would reduce property taxes and generate the money that Texas education needs. And Texas education is $1 billion business. There is the option out there that nobody wants to hear is a state income tax that would require a constitutional amendment and require a supermajority in the legislature to pass. Ultimately, as Texas ceases to be a rural state, becomes an urban state, our funding choices from the legislature need to move along those areas. Property taxes are too high, and they always have been too high.
Well, thank you for your answer. Mr. Mabry, your response, sir.
I think it's a great question. These are certainly some very big picture issues in terms of state income tax, Robin Hood issues, and things like that need to be taken into account. My concern as a local school board, though, is that I don't want us to get mired down into details that we really don't have the authority to act on. My thought is that those are legislative issues and they should be handled there. And again, I'm in agreement with what a lot of it has been said. But my concern is I'd like to focus on our local issues, what we have control over, and keep our focus there. Because I'm afraid if we pull our focus away to these bigger picture issues, that I'm afraid we're going to lose focus on where we need to be, which is we have plenty to deal with locally right here.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all our candidates today. For Place 3 on the Marble Falls Independent School District, our panel has included Mr. Scott Ross, Mr. Craig Cosgrave, Mr. Bob McCall, and Mr. Craig Mabry. Thank you all very much for being here. Please remember, voting is May 14th. We hope you'll go to the polls. We hope you'll exercise your constitutional right. I'm Thomas Edwards. This has been Tribune Talk, Special Candidates Edition. Thank you and have a good day.